Come explore the unknown with us and enter the Chamber of Shadows, a podcast for the dark, haunting, and mysterious. I'm your host, Selene, and I am joined by my co-host, Endora. Say hi, Endora.
Hello. How is everyone out in Spookyville?
Well, I don't know about them, but I can tell you how I'm doing, and I'm doing great.
Well, I heard you've been a busy little bird.
I've been so busy. I okay. I originally did all of the research for this episode, like 3 or 4 months ago? And then I got something up my butt last week, and I was like, "No, it's not enough, it's not good enough." And I'm glad that I felt that way. We're gonna go way deeper than I thought we were gonna go today. But before I talk about any of that, a couple of things I wanna touch on first. Number 1, I saw Amy Broody, and I met
Oh
her.
my gosh.
So, I know I didn't tell you too much about my actual experience. I wanted to talk about it on here. And some of it I'll obviously leave a little mysterious because I don't want to ruin anything if anybody's going to see her or whatever. So, yes, I went when she was in town, and I was sitting there. She has this setup. I'm sure if anybody follows her and actually pays attention, she has this setup, and she's got like Ouija boards and dolls and photographs. Her history behind all of that's actually really, really neat. She's got one of the dolls supposedly moves during the shows. We went through these different cases that she talks about on stage with us. She kind of gives you the history and then goes into the hauntings. Actually, a lot like Haunted Road. Very, very good. She did excellent. Oh, I wanted to touch on, I actually made a recording. So if you missed it, go take a look. But she touched on the Greenbrier episode and kind of the difference between that and where my confusion kind of came in. So that was perfect. I got to ask her about any ongoings in her house, because if you don't know, she lives in a super historic house. I did the meet and greet with her as well. I could not suck in the tears. I did cry in front of her. I failed. She thought I was funny though, so I've got that going for me. She recognized my name because of me. I don't think I told you that. She recognized my name. I handed her my book. She was going to sign, and she's like, "What's your name?" And I spelled it out for her. And she's like, "Oh, you've been doing the Instagram DMs." I said, "I do it all the time." And everybody laughed. You can hear in the video, everybody around us laughed. Yeah, so I had my interaction with her, and I got my photograph, and obviously I told her that I was going to see her again in the future and I would keep Instagram DMing her and tagging her and things. So, and she laughed at that. So, all in all, oh my God, it was so much fun and it was so amazing. But other than that, I have I
What's happening right now? Are you crying? What's going
I'm
on?
about to. We have a big episode today.
Indeed, we
So,
do.
we're going to talk about kindred spirits. We're going to talk about the show Sightings. We're going to talk about a documentary that I watched on this. And we're also going to talk about Astonishing Legends.
I love Astonishing Legends. Shout out Scott and Forrest.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I'm a
have
big fan.
I have a whole section where, I want to talk about them and talk about their experience. Um, in all of this, I have a huge surprise for you.
For me?
Yes. So with that, I want to enter a trigger warning here because what we are going to talk about on this episode can be disturbing to some, and I have a recording that I'm going to play.
Wait, did they answer you? Did they answer you? Is it real?
That's real.
Oh my god, this is the best. This is the best. Oh my god, yes. Now
Yes,
I'm
it
gonna
is.
start crying. Okay.
No. It is very real. I was emailing back and forth with Tess, who I will again, huge shout out to her. I'll mention her in just a little bit as well. But yes, this is going to potentially be a very heavy episode for people. Um, the recording, I'll do a trigger warning before we play it as well. It can be disturbing to some. So with that, I think I'll start my intro.
That's great. Yes, let's.
Let's. Okay. On a residential street in small town Atchison, Kansas, sits a house that has had visitors and residents alike debating the truth of what or who has been haunting it for decades. At first glance, the little white house looks incredibly ordinary, so you might be surprised to learn about its dark reputation. Though some believe the spirit of a little girl takes up residence here, others believe it is something far darker. Let's jump into the history and hauntings so you can decide for yourself what might truly be going on at 508 North 2nd Street, or, as you may better know it, the Sallie House.
So good.
Okay, are we ready? This is
Oh,
a lot.
okay.
This is a lot.
Okay.
I'm going to start with some of the history, and then I'll go into the famous story of Tony and Deborah Pickman.
Right on. We are here for it.
We are here for it. All right. So, just kind of a brief history. Atchison, Kansas was actually the birthplace of Amelia Earhart. Threw that in because I thought that was very interesting. I know they talk about that. They actually, that's how they ended up talking about the Sallie House on Astonishing Legends. So, the Sallie House was built somewhere between probably 1867 to 1871. Those are the best years and most reliable years I could find. I know it says differently on realtor.com, it says differently on Zillow, but all of kind of the historical context that I could find was mid to late 1800s. It was built by a man named Michael Finney for him and his family. It consists of 3 bedrooms and I think it's 1.5, maybe 2 bathrooms. I don't know if that's changed. When the Pickmans lived there, it was 1.5 bathrooms from what they talked about. And again, the house looks very unassuming. It's this white house on this residential street. So, like I said, Michael Finney built this for his family. It was Michael and Kate were the parents, and then they had James, Agnes, and Charles Finney as well. Michael actually died shortly after the house was finished. The Finneys lived in the home and kind of owned it until 1947. After that, it apparently changed hands a couple times. So, Dr. Charles Finney was born on February 1st, 1865, and he died on March 23rd, 1947. We also have James and Agnes, James being the oldest. James died in 1900 and Agnes died in 1939. So, what I have of James, and I'm going to read this from the obituary that I found. James K. Finney of Atchison died at 10 o'clock last night at Evergreen Hospital, Leavenworth, where he had been for the past 8 or 9 months suffering with paralysis of the brain. And if you don't know, is it paralysis? Am I pronouncing that right?
Paresis. Yeah.
Paresis.
Yeah.
Paresis.
Yep.
Okay. It's partial or slight paralysis. So it could be, a stroke, a spinal cord injury. cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, Bell's palsy, or syphilis.
Rude. Just to
Yeah,
call me
right?
out like that in front of everybody. Okay.
Oh, that was actually the first thing that pulled up when I looked it up to find something to put in here was syphilis. And I was like, are you trying to tell me he had syphilis? Is that what we went straight for? We went straight for syphilis. Why does syphilis keep coming up in our podcast episodes?
I don't know. We are a safe podcast. There is no syphilis here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I want to jump into Agnes. Agnes, again, died in 1939. So, Mrs. Agnes Finney, True, 79, widow of William A. True, Burlington Railroad locomotive engineer, died at midnight last night at her home, 508 North 2nd Street, from in- infirmities due to advanced age. Mrs. True had been ill for the past 3 years. She was a lifelong resident of this city. So
Okay.
we have two people on record who have died in this house,
And they're both related.
and they're both related.
Okay.
We have the father, Michael, and then we have Agnes. Some
And
people say, yeah,
Agnes is his mama. Yeah.
no, Agnes is his sister.
Sister. Okay.
Kate was his mom.
Okay.
Some people say that, I think they say that James died in the house as well. I could not find that. What I found is what I read.
Okay.
One of the owners that lived there was by the name of Ethel Anderson and her husband. They owned and lived in the home from 1958 to 1990. And according to them, they insisted that the home was not haunted. There's a house that's next door. So Sallie House is 508 North 2nd Street. There's a house that was built next door, reportedly by James Finney, and that is 510 North 2nd Street. Now, somewhere along all of this comes this woman by the name of Joanna Barnes. I saw somewhere that she was married to James, but I did not confirm nor find any denial in that. So somehow she was living in 510. She had a huge history of mental illness. She had been in some asylums before. And while she was in this home, she actually attempted to take the life of her as well as her young son on September 24th, 1906.
Jesus.
Yes. She survived. Her young son did not. I wanted to briefly mention that and kind of include that in, I mean, that's 510 and 508. They're literally right next door to each other. So a lot going on in this area. So now we come into the Pickmans. The current owner and the man who had just bought in the home before the Pickmans moved in was Les Smith Jr. He has now owned that house for over 20 years. So they move in. Actually, it was New Year's Eve of 1992, technically. New Year's Eve of 1992. So going into 93. And from everything I saw, they left at the end of 1994, early 1995. They were a young couple, they were freshly married, and when they moved into the home, Deborah was 3 months pregnant. Now, some history with Deborah, she actually grew up a believer. She talks about in her book how when she was younger, she attempted to use a Ouija board and she attempted to do a seance with some friends. But she did mention, and I thought this was very important, at the very beginning of her book, she says, I quote, One of my greatest concerns is the reliability of information presented on TV shows, books, documentaries, and haunted tours. People don't realize they can confuse, frustrate, and harm those who rely on this information to help them deal with their own experiences. I think that's very important to keep in mind. We talked about this, I think, on the ghost episode. It's well, and it's come up even since then about
Mhm.
embellishing stories. I
Mhm,
mean, it's
mhm.
really, really, really important to do your best at researching and finding the truth rather than creating these embellishments. And honestly, a lot of the time, the stories don't even need embellishments.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Yes.
Like, they're insane all on their own.
Yeah, that's how they got to be famous stories
Yeah.
because all on their own, they were, wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as far as what the Pickmans experienced in the home, I'm gonna kinda go through I was taking notes, and almost everything that I have from the Pickmans story actually comes from Deborah's book. So, I wanna make that clear. This is coming from Deborah. They experienced a lot. It was actually a lot more than I found anywhere else on this house. They would have these strange experiences, and eventually these experiences did turn violent. So, a month after moving in, these lights dimming and then going to full brightness on their own started happening. And they did have animals they had when they moved in. It was two cats and a dog. And the animals began acting oddly. There was a room where the dog was barking and growling at, which is the nursery, which is actually very, very central for the activity in this house. And he was doing that for several minutes. She describes experiencing a bunch of these cold spots, which didn't really make sense to her because the house, when they lived there, had no central AC. They had one AC unit, I think it was upstairs in a bedroom, I think she said. So it didn't really make sense on why she was feeling those cold spots where she was feeling them. There was a night in May at about 3:30 a.m. when she was awoken by a blood-curdling screams and several loud thumps coming down the stairs. She said something heavy struck her face and she began screaming, thus waking Tony up. And eventually, after they screamed back and forth for a little bit, they realized that nothing was out of order.
Oh, snap.
Yes. So the cats were freaking out. She's wondering if maybe it was the cats that were causing this commotion, causing this ruckus. But if it was the cat, she didn't know why or what caused it. After this, they started experiencing electrical problems. There was issues with the timer, there was issues with phone calls in certain areas of the house. The TV would turn on and off. Um, they eventually actually started doing stuff with the microwave as well. After the birth of their son, the activity actually increased. One of the bear monitors that they had, it's like the baby monitor that's like a stuffed bear or something like that, actually moved a couple times. Now, after their son was born, he was not sleeping through the night. She didn't know why. I mean, she's a brand new mom. I am not a mother, but I'm sure you can attest when you have that first child, you don't know what you're doing.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah, so
you can take part in raising your niece and nephew, you can be a nanny, you can be a caretaker to children, and it matters not. None of it matters
right,
when everybody leaves and you're alone with that baby.
right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, I think that was kind of where she was at, was she is brand new at this, she doesn't know what's going on, she doesn't know if it's normal or not. I will say I'm gonna say this now because I feel like I'm gonna forget this later. She later actually thinks that this is maybe because of the spirit waking him up, and she wonders if he was maybe trying to go through SIDS or, like, have SIDS, and the baby was saving or sorry, the spirit was saving the baby from that.
That's an interesting take.
Very interesting. So, I wanted to say that now because I know I'm gonna forget it later. So because her baby's not sleeping well, her sister Karen decides, "Hey, I'm gonna come just for a week. I'm gonna help out." So Karen comes into town and nothing happens. Nothing paranormal happens while Karen's here until it did. It was one of the last nights that Karen was there, and her and the Pickmans had gone. His family lives nearby, so they were over at one of the family members' houses. His sister shows up, Tony's sister shows up, and, she let them know. She dropped something off at the house. She was coming off as a little freaked out, but didn't say anything. And so they eventually leave. They go back home. Tony and Deborah and Karen go back to the house with the baby. And as they go upstairs to the nursery, they find, which I don't know if you've heard this before, they find that the stuffed animals in the nursery arranged into a circle on the floor, all with their backs to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that there's more to this story? This particular experience?
Um, it's been okay, it's been a couple years, and then
Okay.
if we wanna go back to sightings, it's been a couple decades. So, I don't
So
recall anybody saying anything more than that was just creepo, but yeah.
that was all I knew going
Yeah.
into this. That
Yes.
was all I knew. But there was a lot more that happened that night. So they get home, they find these stuffed animals in the nursery arranged into a circle, all their backs together, and they call the sister-in-law. And I don't remember exactly how she says she brought it up, but she's like, "Was anything weird in the house?" And the sister-in-law actually said, "Yeah, I saw that earlier in the night too." And she talked about having this feeling when she was in the house and up there that something was wrong. And she described this cold sensation. So it was not the sister-in-law that did this. They eventually returned the stuffed animals to their spots and they went back down. But as they went back down the stairs, they looked back up. The nursery lights had cut back on. They had just turned them off. They walked down the stairs, the lights back on.
Ooh,
So they
you
go,
sneaky.
yeah. So they go back up and they actually find one of the bears is back in the middle of the room. They returned it, but several hours later, when they looked again, the bear was back on the floor again. So they called one of Tony's brothers, who was very, very skeptical, and he came over and nothing happened initially. She says in the book that when he got there, he's like, "If I didn't know you guys so well, I would think that you were, like, pranking me." Like, he was not really having any of it, but he knows them. He knows that they're not just the people to kinda make this kind of thing up.
Mhm, mhm.
So it was later in the night, they were kind of waiting, and eventually one of the bears changed positions. It didn't move, but it changed positions where it was at. It was facing kind of out, and then I guess it turned and started facing the wall. They moved it again. I think it did it maybe one more time, but eventually, not eventually, eventually, the brother left, and he had this contact to who we now know is Barbara Connors, and she was a medium. So he was going to reach out to his contacts to get in touch with her to see if maybe she could give some insight. Now, brother leaves. Tony and Deborah and her sister all go back upstairs. They're like, hey, we got to figure out this sleeping arrangement because Karen's like, I'm not sleeping downstairs by myself.
I know
That's
that's
not
right.
happening. And Tony is like, I'm not sleeping upstairs by myself. So they all settled on sleeping in the master bedroom all
Time for a
together.
sleepover.
Time for a sleepover. So they make it back up the stairs. This was actually, I really enjoyed reading this because I was kind of giggling reading this. They made it back up the stairs and they looked, and apparently there was a teddy bear that was hanging on the door handle as well. And that was turned the other way.
Oh,
So
yikes.
she describes this as they all started like screaming, like screeching and
Oh.
screaming, and they ran into the master bedroom and they get there and they realize that they forgot the TV and the VCR downstairs. So Karen and Tony go back down and they grab this TV, they grab the VCR, and they go back up. And Tony actually sees one of the bears that they have downstairs turn on its own. So they book it back up and they make it in and they end up watching a comedy movie. So that was kind of the first like big thing that
That's pretty
happened
big.
to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions at this point?
I don't. Where did you say that their friend that came over that said, if I didn't know you guys, I'd think you were liars?
That
Or
was his brother.
okay, and where'd that
Yes.
big talking man go? Because how come he's not here?
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
So it throughout the book, you actually learn there's a lot of people who actually experience the activity while they're living there, family and friends. So I know one of his brothers, his younger brother, lived next door. He lived in 510 while they
Oh,
lived
the
in
other Finney
508.
house.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. So I don't remember exactly where his other brother lived, but I know he does kind of go through this with them later, but the younger brother, excuse me, the younger brother is really the one who gets involved with this with them. So after this, Tony's mom contacted an acquaintance that she had who just so happened to be the mother of the previous tenant. Yeah. So at this point, they learn that the mother's daughter, so the grown adult who was living there, the previous tenant, reported that she would often smell something odd or foul in the house. She also noted that children's toys would move on their own, and her daughter had an imaginary friend named Sallie, but she had not spoken of her since they moved out.
Hmm.
So Barbara Connors explains that she felt like a little girl spirit between the age of 5 and 13 was in the house.
And she's doing this from her home. Where?
Yes. I think she was in California, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, like way away. She reportedly liked the house and was protective of the baby. The stuffed animals moving was probably her playing with them. She actually hit on the fact that the baby was having sleeping trouble. I mean, this is why Karen came down anyways. Deborah's sister Karen came.
Right. That was the whole reason. Yeah.
Right. she or Deb Barbara, Jesus, Barbara lets them know, they can tell her that she's welcome to stay, but she had to behave and make it clear that this was their home. And if she wanted to stay, she had to follow their rules. And then they realized that Barbara hit on the same name that they had already heard, which was the name Sallie.
Mm. Okay.
So I'm going to pause there in the Pickman's story because I want to talk about Sallie and who this could potentially be. So we talked about Michael Finney. Him and his wife had their 3 children, and Charles Finney was one of those children. Charles Finney became a doctor, and he owned that home for some time.
Which 508 or 510?
508.
Okay.
508. He had a son who also became a doctor. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Charles Herman Finney, who was born in 1907 and died in 1955. Dr. Charles H. Finney, 48, Kansas City, formerly of Atchison, died Friday night at 7:30 at his home after suffering a heart attack. He had worked all day Friday and did not complain of feeling ill until after eating his evening meal. He was born in Atchison February 17th, 1907, a son of the late Dr. and Mrs. C. Finney. His father was a practicing physician here from 1894 to 1939 and was mayor of Atchison from 1913 to 1916.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, this is when years start to become important.
Okay.
So, Charles Herman Finney is born in 1907. Before that is when we have the rumor of Sallie. So it's rumored that Dr. Finney, Charles C. Finney, operated a doctor's office out of 508 North 2nd Street. It was said that he operated it on that lower level, and then I guess they lived on the upper level. I did find in the 15th census of the United States, which was in 1930, that Charles C. Finney and Louise, who was his wife, and Charles H. Finney were living at 510 North 2nd Street in
Oh,
1930.
okay.
So, Sallie, how does this kind of come into play? So, we have this reported doctor's office, and there's this young girl named Sallie who was brought late one night to 508 North 2nd Street for help. Her mother begs the doctor to help her. She doesn't know what's going on. She's very, very sick. He diagnoses her with appendicitis, and they actually began surgery either A, before anesthesia took full effect, or B, without any anesthesia at all.
Well, I'm sorry. What?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Regardless, they were cutting before there was anything on board, if anything was even given. And this did lead to her death.
Um, but I have so many questions I can't even form one. What? I just remember that she died during a surgery.
Mhm.
I don't remember anything about there not being any anesthesia. Which that doesn't. What kind of doctor was he?
I don't know.
I don't even feel like a good vet would do that. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know,
Alright.
and I don't know, I mean, I know obviously medicine back then was not what it is today. We've
What
talked about that too, but
what would be the reason that this mama would take her baby straight to his house instead of the hospital?
I don't know.
Okay. I was just wondering.
Great, no, yeah, great question. So, another version of this story is that Sally was actually Dr. Finney's son, or sorry, daughter. Dr. Finney's daughter from an affair that he had.
Oh, okay.
And when she
Oh,
fell ill, her mother brought her to him since he would not allow her to take her to the hospital out of fear of the affair being exposed.
that sounds cheesy. I don't believe it.
Yeah. Now, the most important thing to take away from all of this in regards to Sally from here on out is that there is no record of a girl named Sally ever living in the house or dying in the house. Nothing.
Okay. Did you find any dead Sallys around that time in
Sure
records?
did.
Okay.
I'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
So, now that we have this idea of this Sally character, again, let's just, play devil's advocate and say, great, it's a true story, right? Again, absolutely zero record. Zero, zero record. And that was supposed to have happened in 1905 or 1906. So they learn all of this after they speak with Barbara. Actually, immediately after they speak with Barbara, they are going up the stairs when they find that one of the photos of them is completely upside down, which ended up being a common occurrence. They actually ended up having their pictures always be crooked or something, upside down, crooked, something. The next day, his brother George, who I believe George is the one who lives next door, he's the younger brother, experienced a teddy bear move. They were kind of messing around, picking, and he saw this teddy bear move and they freaked out. They ran upstairs, they told Deborah what happened, and they all decided, it's probably best to just leave. So they were leaving when Tony actually jumped back like something bit him. He thought it maybe was a bug or something, and they didn't look until they made it to his parents' house. And when Deborah looked, she saw 3 bleeding scratch marks down the center of his back that were about 5 to 6 inches long.
Well, Sally, you've been naughty.
Yes.
So I'm assuming since they didn't stop and look at it, that they weren't just like leaving the house. They were like fleeing the house.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they just grabbed some things and they were leaving.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah. So when they go back, I think it's the next day, Deborah decides she's setting those ground rules. What were they? It was, no scratching. You can move the toys, but you have to put them back. You have to listen to us. It was something along those lines.
Or what?
Great question.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
How are you going to lay rules, and what do you have to leverage that with?
So I think their leverage ended up being if she didn't follow the rules, she was going to have to go,
Oh, okay.
which comes up again later. People are starting to hear about their experiences. They're starting to come over. They want to see something themselves. They want to have that experience.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Eventually, Barbara visits. They keep having this activity. Barbara decides to come visit. I I want to talk about this again later too. I want to say that though you are a believer, it is also okay to be skeptical
Well, yeah.
and not believe every single thing that you are told.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not saying that to psychics or mediums specifically. I'm also saying that to the spirits as well. They can still lie to you.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
Barbara comes and visits. She lets them know that Sallie thinks they're too bossy. She gets the age 7, which comes into play. Actually, really oddly, even e yeah, we'll come back to that. We'll circle back to that. She suspects that she maybe was abused from a male figure in her life, and maybe that's why she's kind of hesitant and a little more aggressive with men and so protective of their baby. She also started responding in Sally's voice.
Barbara did?
Yeah. So
Ew.
I assume that she was channeling.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
She agrees that Sally is doing everything they are experiencing in the house. And towards the end, someone who had come to the house as well to kind of go through all this with them, they asked if the spirit's name was really Sally, and the medium responded, sorry, the spirit responded through Barbara in that voice, saying, "That's okay, yes."
Hmm.
Weird, right?
It is weird, but I have heard the theory that the longer you are dead, the less you remember about being alive.
Well, so it makes you wonder, like, is that just a name that she agreed to? Like, she just kinda maybe threw out?
Yeah.
I think I talk about later,
But
like,
how many
maybe sh
times did she throw it out?
right.
Yeah.
But I think I also I don't remember exactly where I talk about it later, but was she maybe, like, the spirit of a doll that one of the children named Sally?
I see.
I'll jump into that because there's more behind that theory in a little
Oh,
bit.
that is interesting. I never thought about that. Okay.
Yeah. So they began giving Sally her own toys and dolls. And eventually they hit this period where they weren't getting any activity again, which is normal. If you're going into any haunted location, please don't go in with this mindset that you're guaranteed to get any activity because that's not real. Like, you can go to some of the most haunted locations and never experience anything in your night there. Like, it just is what it is.
It's true. Those are facts.
But over time, things began happening again. They and by they, I want to specify Deborah really adopted Sally and started treating her like she was maybe her own. She would tell her that she loves her every night. She would invite her into the bed. Yeah.
Uh, okay.
Yes. So there was one day where Deborah left for work. She had started the dryer. She took the clothes out. She left. When Tony came down, he noticed that the clothes were still damp. So he threw them back in the dryer and started again. He heard this loud, like, banging noise that started in the dryer, but he ignored it. After that, the stereo then kept going on and off, and the vacuum, because he was vacuuming downstairs, would also turn it on and off. He kinda yelled, he's like, "Sallie, like, seriously, knock it off. That's enough." And she did, everything stopped. Deborah comes back home later, and she was going through the clothes in the dryer, but she noticed that there was brown spots everywhere. Yeah.
What is it?
She eventually realized that one of the cats had crawled into the dryer, and Tony didn't obviously realize this after he threw the clothes in and started the dryer.
Why the fuck didn't I get a trigger warning? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
I almost did that to
Yeah.
Claudia when she was little.
Yeah.
That's it's the sickest feeling, and
Yeah.
I didn't even shut the door.
Yeah.
It's the sickest feeling. Oh my
No, it's
god.
terrifying. Yeah.
Oh.
So I think she mentioned it, and I also kind of wondered the same thing. It seemed like, again, I'm just gonna say Sallie. It seemed like Sallie was manipulating all of these other electrical things.
Mhm, mhm.
So if she was trying to warn him about this, why didn't she just stop the dryer?
Yeah, yeah.
Just curious.
I don't know, Sally, why don't you like Kitty? What'd Kitty do to you?
Yeah, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna jump to October of 1993. Tony is bit on his outer upper thigh. Initially, Deborah laughs, and then she realizes that he's being serious, and the bite marks actually look real. She told Tony that he should probably acknowledge Sallie more. And the next day, the bite marks were gone, but there was a huge bruise.
Mm.
This was the point where he started opening up about seeing dark shadows throughout the house.
Oh, okay. We've got a secret. Okay, Tony.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Can I just say, maybe this is a personal thing. If somebody showed me a bite mark on their upper thigh, I'm like,
We're calling an exorcist. That's all I'm saying. No, listen. This is unacceptable.
this is not, yeah,
um, yeah,
yeah,
eh, having been exposed to a lot of paranormal things, that's something I've never been exposed to, and
hmm,
that's not normal.
no,
I've seen enough to know that that ain't normal. That
yeah,
is, yeah, yeah, yes, yes. Oh, I hate
nope,
it. Oh, I
not
hate it.
normal, not acceptable.
Okay, well, now we're biting people and killing cats,
We're
so
biting people and killing cats. So we make it to Halloween, and it's 7:15 a.m. Tony had just grabbed some orange juice from the fridge. He was going to take a drink, and he turned and saw a little girl standing there.
oh, snap.
He, like, really saw her too. He actually says, like, she looked super real.
Is he the one who drew the picture?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, 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 okay.
Yes. So he described her to have these big blue eyes. She was about 3.5 feet tall, curly brown hair that was pulled up with a ribbon, and it had a large fancy bow. She was in an old fashioned dress with white eyelet lace and puffy sleeves. And after he told Deborah what happened, he did the famous sketch that you see everywhere.
Wow. Okay.
Another thing I want to mention, and please know, you and listeners, I still have a lot more to touch on with their story, but there is a lot that I couldn't fit it in here. I definitely recommend, if you're interested or have any questions, reading Deborah's book, because there's a lot in there. They experienced a lot.
Yeah, it's on my Amazon already.
Yeah. Deborah would leave out this piece of paper with crayons. And every so often, she would write a question at the top and she would give Sallie a certain amount of time to answer. And there was one time that she did have something show up on the piece of paper, and it was the number 7 with what looks like the word like next to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
I don't know.
what was the question?
It was maybe something like, "How old are you?" I think. Like, she would ask very basic questions.
Okay.
So it was something along those lines.
Okay.
Now, this is another time that we see the number 7 come in. So I just want to throw in here, again, a little chaotic, but I got home and I was getting ready for my meeting. And where I live, they hid some ducks around. And if you found one, you could, they'd give you like this little goodie bag. Okay. So I took Mr. Handsome Bull Bantsome Boy over there so that he could get some socialization and try to find a duck. And we got a duck. And when I looked at the number on the bottom of it, it was the number 7.
Shut up.
I swear to God.
Why?
I
Oh,
swear
but
to God.
why? Okay.
Yeah. So it was just one of those weird, like, I have been seeing the number 7 this entire weekend because of this specifically. And I'm just like doing something like in my normal life, and there's the number 7 popping up. So I don't know. It was just weird. Weird little quinky dink. But, anyways, back to regular scheduled po- podcasting. So they started having these bears that would spontaneously catch on fire. Candles would melt and ignite on their own. They would also have mold that was growing on household items, and they were having this manipulation of appliances. It consistently had odd things showing up in photographs. One is one of the famous ones that was taken in the nursery. It has that splotch of dark blue. She didn't know if maybe this was problems during the pictures being developed, maybe. But she also started to question if they were really dealing with a nice little girl spirit. She also caught in another picture a smoky figure that was near the ceiling at the top of the stairs. It appeared to be a male figure that was dressed in a dark suit or uniform. The shirt was white, and he was clearly wearing a brimmed hat. He also appeared to be holding a sword or bayonet.
Wait.
Yeah,
Like he's just dressed like a soldier?
I
Or
guess.
okay.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, that is what it sounds like. Okay.
Now, Tony was having weird dreams. He was also having marks after he woke up from those dreams. Like, I think there was one night where he dreamed that something was pulling him out of the bed, and he actually woke up and had marks in the spots that he was being grabbed. There is the famous lost remote story. They could not find the remote one night. He ended up falling asleep on the couch, and a woman kind of handed the remote to him, and she said, "Tony, here's your remote." When Deborah, being the she, walked out of the shower, came down to check on him, he was like, "Oh, where'd you find it?" And she's like, "Where did you find it?" So that's kind of when they realized. She's like, "It was not me." And he's like, "Don't say that to me." He's like, don't tell, don't do that." 2 days after that was when he saw the woman in the hallway. He described her as having blonde hair that was pulled up and wearing long sleeves. There was also something that, or an experience where Tony was held down on the couch. And I think Tony experienced this later during what I talk about with the documentary. I put in all caps here. There were constantly people that were coming over and requesting this spirit to do something, like,
I don't love that.
constantly.
I don't love that.
Yeah, but it also brings and I again, just to touch on this because I wanna talk about this later, I have it in the notes later. That's a lot of people coming over and putting energy into a location.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate everything about it. Yeah.
Yeah. It actually got to the point where I think Deborah started kind of becoming protective of the spirit as well. Like, she would actually get to the point where she's like, "Hey, just do something, and if you do it, then I'll get everybody out." And so then something would happen, and she would follow through. She would get everybody out and back downstairs. Now, in July of 1994, Tony awoke to the bed shaking violently. This is when he saw a woman manifest. He described her having dark hair and, quote, a bitchy look, dressed in all black with a high collar adorned with a brooch and a black glove with a black bird on the finger. This is when the door slammed shut and she reached for him, saying, "I'm gonna," and he took off.
Wait, he took off in real life or he took off in a
No, like
dream?
in real life. No, this was real. Like
Okay.
he woke up, the bed was shaking, he saw this woman, the door slammed, she reached out saying, "I'm gonna,"
Okay.
and before she could get anything else out, he's like, "Deborah!"
The hell you say? You're not gonna do shit because I'm leaving. Okay.
Yeah. Tony was not welcoming in the same way that Deborah was. And he also did not experience the same welcoming feelings that Deborah experienced.
No, yeah, that's clear. Yeah.
Yes. They started having this darker feeling in the nursery. Sightings, the show sightings came in. They caught a lot. I'm going to touch on them in a little bit. They had somebody come in and do a cleansing. Reportedly, this woman's spirit, whoever she was, left. I also read somewhere where they found a rose on the kitchen windowsill and it was smoldering like it was burnt from the inside out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think they actually mentioned that on one of the shows. But Tony would experience dark feelings and thoughts, and he would even have thoughts of stabbing Deborah.
Okay.
Yeah, there were these spontaneous fires going on. Um, his experience just got darker and more threatening, like incredibly dark thoughts. He actually kind of started to compare it to Amityville.
Okay.
He said that he was really struggling to keep it together. Eventually, he was seeing full bodied apparitions. And eventually, Deborah became aware of Tony's true terror. He also stopped being himself. He became more distant. He was attacked in his sleep. He had a similar situation to something like a possession. It's reported that he was pushed down the stairs and eventually they moved out, which now leads it to the point where we're wondering, is it this Sally spirit or is there a more malevolent entity that poses as a child to gain the family's trust?
Or both things could be true.
Both things could be true.
Huh.
So, before I jump into some of the other things, there were some findings in the 2000s that came about. They found a pentagram that was drawn on the basement floor of the home. They found some satanic ritualistic remnants. As far as the hauntings go today, they do have a waiver that is required. There have been no serious injury reports since the last tenants in 1993 4 area. It's
So
reported
that would have been them then. That would have been the Pickmans?
yes.
Okay, so they did not rent it out anymore after
No,
that?
they moved out in I think the end of 94, early 95
Okay,
area.
okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And doesn't the city own it, or did the city buy it, or
No.
was it a
So
historical society or something?
nope, yeah, so it's still privately owned. He still owns it, but the city runs the tours and
Okay,
stuff. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah. He allows the city to kinda I think it's like a historical society, I think, that controls that.
got it.
So the house does still have poltergeist activity. There are disembodied voices. There are still physical attacks that go on in the home, such as scratches and bruising. We talked about the fires that would break out. Reportedly, the operating area would become cold. I'm assuming that's downstairs. There are physical touches, batteries draining, equipment stopping, apparitions of that young girl and an older woman standing in the windows, shadow people, those candles, scratching on the walls, sounds of furniture being moved, objects moving. Trained guide dogs refuse to enter the nursery. A lot of people say that there is a malevolent being in the basement. A lot of people who see this older woman in the home, I guess the big question is this the same entity or is this a different one? Because what we were led to believe is that the woman left during that cleansing.
Right,
So was she also there and now, she's just more prevalent? Or did she come at a later date? I
probably.
mean, yeah. We also, there's this dislike of men. Why? Is it revenge for a death? Is it attention grabbing? Unsure.
Well, it makes sense if this were a dark force. It makes sense that we would attack couples, right? Because they want chaos and they want darkness. And if we can get mommy to love us and we start attacking daddy, that splits mommy and daddy on an issue. And who
Yeah.
knows what else? Yeah.
Well, and that's if we're looking at this from a more negative aspect, whether do I think it's I don't know if I think it's demonic or not. I think there's something dark in there. I don't know what it is. I do think there's something dark in there, and that is something that dark entities feed on.
Yeah, for sure. They do.
As far as the skeptics go, again, there's no actual documentation of a girl named Sally being in the house at all. They also obviously, natural causes and hoaxes. But I think that actually kind of perfectly led us into the next topic that I wanted to talk about, and that is about demon versus a child. One thing I 100% agree with Amy on this, Amy Bruni, is I demonic hauntings are so rare.
Hmm.
And she says on this episode that she did of the Sallie House, she says point blank that she's not willing to take the risk that the child spirit is demonic,
I don't, yeah, I feel that.
and she talks about how sad is it that a child is trying to trying to talk, trying to communicate and everybody's like, "Be gone, demon." Like, it's yeah. She brings on Johnny Hauser, who has been he actually works more with the Vel
Mm, that's right. Let's go.
Velisca? Did I
Mm,
say that right? Why
yeah.
did my brain just, like, shut out? Um, he works at that house more so, but he actually met a man from the show Sightings who came to that house, and they talked about the Sallie House. So eventually Johnny did make it to the Sallie House. Um, he does take more of a religious stance in the way that he kind of talks about it with Amy, just because he brings in holy water and things like that. But some of the things they talk about is something that I really wanted to touch on with this too, which I already kind of did. You got a lot of people going in and out of that house, feeding
Mhm,
it energy.
mhm. Yeah. So, uh, it doesn't make sense to me that if you believe in demons and if demons are fallen angels and really they just want all the humans gone by any means necessary. So w- w- up until the Sally House became famous and people started doing tours of it, there was nobody in that house but one little family. So it doesn't make sense to me that they would waste energy sitting in a house waiting for somebody to come. It makes more sense to me that I'm jumping in this person that is moving around and going places and causing, chaos everywhere they go. That makes more sense to me.
So I think it's very interesting that we have no history of this house being haunted until the Pigments.
Yeah. Does that make
And
you
that's not me.
suspect that a lot of this has been fabricated, or you're bringing that up because
Before I read the book, I might have felt that way. There was a lot of detail in this book. Like you just can't make that much up.
yeah, okay.
And even going in, which maybe leads me to kind of my next points. Even like watching sightings and you're seeing real time these scratches happening. And they're not
Yeah.
like it
It left an impression on me. I definitely do remember. I do remember that. I couldn't tell you how old I was but I do remember it, and I remember watching it and being like, "Oh my god, this is."
yeah.
And that was long before AI and all of that.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do believe, and this was something else that Amy and him touched on. I do believe that you get what you put in. I think it's positive to keep a positive mindset. It's positive. It's important.
important.
It's important. I got ahead of myself. My brain was working overtime. It's important to maintain a positive mindset. It's energy, it's intent. Like attracts like. You're just if you're going in and you've got this negative mindset, I could totally understand how you're gonna come across something more negative.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that you have to necessarily be negative to be possessed.
No.
But I get what you're saying though. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like, I think it's just manifestation, right? Like, which leads into thought form or egregore. We talked about that on the ghosts episode.
Mhm.
Is this something like a thought form or that egregore, however you pronounce it properly, where maybe it's coming up with life circumstances and then you've got more people coming in to experience this as well, and I don't know. There's also the theory of it being a doll that a child had that they named Sally. Well, that also goes into the thought form egregore kind of concept as well, because if someone puts that much belief, that much energy into it, why can't it become something spiritual?
Right. Right, right, right. Yeah, or at least attract something spiritual.
Yeah. I do want to mention something that happened with Amy after her recording of Haunted Road.
Oh.
And yeah, so she actually comes in at the very end, and she did, I guess maybe I won't say anything specific because I don't wanna take away from anybody listening to her episode and getting information and experience with that, but she did have something kinda weird happen after she recorded her episode of this with Johnny Hauser. So let's jump into Astonishing Legends.
I never listened to Astonishing Legends until somewhere online somebody said something about an EVP that this podcast got and how terrifying it was. And I was like, "Pff, okay." And I'm driving in the car. I found it when I was parked. I'm driving in the car and the EVP started to play after a while and I almost drove off the road. I've never heard anything like that in real life. I've never heard anything
Yeah.
like that in real life. What? What?
So the first time you had me listen to it was this year, it was relatively recently,
Yeah, I think so too.
and I remember listening to it, and for some reason, it just didn't, I was like, "Okay, whatever." Like, it just didn't seem all that insane to me, and I don't know why. Like, genuinely, I don't know if I just wasn't invested or I didn't, think much of I have no idea why,
Right.
but I reached out to them. So, just for a little context, Astonishing Legends, they have the co-creators and co-hosts are Scott and Forrest. Tess, who is the co-executive producer, and I wanna shout out to Tess because she's the one who, actually was responding with me, and she was very, very sweet in her emails. Um, so I learned a little bit about them through these episodes. Scott originally was more skeptical.
Mhm, 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 mhm. Yep.
So he actually mentions that he wished that he would have gone into the house with more seriousness
Mhm.
because of how skeptical he was, which skepticism, I'm gonna say this every episode if I have to. Skepticism is good. There should be skepticism. You can't believe everything you see and hear. You just can't.
Right.
Now, they talk about this was kind of part of why Scott wanted to do the show with Forrest is he he wanted to see if he could change his opinion on this kind of stuff.
And they were on the air for a long time before he did. Before he
Were they?
finally.
You would know much better than I would.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna listen to everything they have." But
Mhm.
here's the thing that you need to know about Astonishing Legends is get ready for the deep dive, baby, because nobody does
Yeah.
it like they do.
Nobody does it
Nobody
like they
does it
do.
like they do.
I even I so Tess told me, she's like, "Well, let me know, send it to me, let me know when it's released because I know we have listeners who are always wanting to hear more about the Sallie House." And I said in my response back, I was like, "That's amazing, but just know we're not gonna have the deep dive the way that you guys did."
Yeah.
Like, this
We're like snacks.
yes,
Yes.
very snacky. Very snacky with a side of ADD.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so I even said that. I mean, they I have in here, I know they have up to part 3. I think they even have a part 4 for sure on the Sallie House. And part 1 was a lot of research and interviews. Part 2 was their experience. So, I'm not gonna take away a lot from their story and because that's not my goal here, but I did wanna mention, they did feel a strange presence in the nursery. It was heavy and uncomfortable. And it wasn't just Scott who felt it. I know they had 2 of the women, Tess being one of them, who felt it as well when they were in that house. And the feeling actually, especially after the EVP, I guess Scott talked to Tony Pickman again, and Tony confirmed that it was similar to kind of what he had experienced and what he felt. Another thing that they kind of noted is that the feeling was not always there. And again, I want to reiterate, you're not going to experience something every single time you go into a haunted location. It's if you are, I want to know where that haunted location is. Cause
It's in Gettysburg,
yeah,
and it's owned by the
that's
same people
real.
that own the Cashtown Inn. Hey,
Yeah,
y'all.
seriously. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's real. That is real. But I mean, even with that,
Yeah.
we're there for a week,
Yeah, that's true.
you know?
If we were just walking through, we wouldn't see anything or hear anything. No,
No.
no. Yeah, you're right.
So as far as the EVP goes, they sent everyone, well, I'll say Scott sent everyone out of the nursery and had them leave the upper floor. He did this recording. He started to listen back and he heard what he caught. And he said he described it in their episode as him very brisk walking out of the house. That was how he described it. Um, he mentions being incredibly shaken. He does talk about his entire perspective of the paranormal being shifted since this. He states in the episode he doesn't care what it is. He got the message that he was supposed to get. And he talks about, now moving forward, well, at this point it was 2018. So moving forward from that point, he has this confirmation bias shift and he does kind of start to believe a little more easily now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once you realize that something is real, then you have to be open to other things being real.
Yeah.
You can't be like, "Oh no, only just demons or only just
Right.
ghosts." You can't
Right.
that can't be a thing. Like, you have to
Right.
be able to at least give it an opportunity in your
Hmm.
mind to be real. Yeah.
Yeah. So I I was listening to this EVP. I listened to it several times over the weekend. And I was up very late last night trying to finish up with getting information and research and stuff for this episode. And for some reason, last night was when this EVP really hit me. And I listened to it twice. I listened to it back to back again last night. And I don't know, there was something about it. It made me not scared, but emotional.
Yeah. I Well, I mean, they'll listen, but I'm just saying that I think I can tell when I hear it that I think it's saying words. Like, that's not,
Yes,
yes, but I
I
don't know what
agree.
the words are, but I definitely hear words.
Yes.
Mhm.
So before I play this is file 10. That's courtesy of Astonishing Legends production from their in-depth series on the Sallie House. So make sure you look for Astonishing Legends wherever you get your
You'll
podcasts.
never be sorry. You'll never be
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
yeah. And with that, this is that trigger warning because I'm gonna play this EVP. Um, it is loud. It, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it.
If you're in a car,
It
you should pull over to listen to this from my own experience.
it's unsettling. The trigger warning is that it's very unsettling, and this In my opinion, I agree with Scott on this. This is not a little girl.
Oh, yeah, agree, agree.
Yeah. Okay. With that, listener discretion is advised.
Okay. File 10. I'm putting this down. I'm going to leave this here for about 5 minutes. If there's anything you want to say, any message you would like to share with the world, leave it on this recorder, and we will share it. Leaving now, closing the door. No one else is in this room at this time. Coming back into the room. I'm going to take the recorder. Thank you for your time. Wishing you peace.
Wow. Again, thank you, Astonishing Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Huge
Um,
thank you.
every hair on my I've heard this probably a dozen times, and every hair on my body is standing up right now. Yeah. Yeah, it's something.
It's
It's something. It's not I don't know if you guys don't listen to them. I wish you would, and, it's not fake. It's not fake.
no,
They're
it is
not those
not, and
they're not those
yeah,
kinda guys. It's
they're no.
this is real.
It is
Yeah.
very real.
And also,
Actually,
it would have gone on longer if he hadn't just been like 5 minutes and done, and let me go get my
yeah.
new little hand. He had I remember that he got a special kind of recorder that every ghost hunter
Yes.
wanted, and
DR something.
don't
I
start me
can't
lying.
remember
I
exactly,
don't
yeah.
know. I use my iPhone, that's all I got.
So stop it. You remember that one? Stop it.
Stop it. I do remember that. That was a good one.
That was crazy.
Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for that.
Yes.
Please,
Yeah.
please give them a listen, but be ready.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
give them a listen. Huge thank you. Because that was huge, and I think it really says something that they and I'll even specify that to Scott experiencing something and it actually shifting his perspective.
Mhm.
Like, that is how real that is. I also think it's interesting that skeptics feel like they tend to experience more sometimes. Am I crazy?
No, let's not talk about Bigfoot.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. No, it's
Ah,
yeah. I think sometimes um the self-proclaimed skeptics get smacked around more than we do.
oh, 100%.
Mhm. Oh, oh,
100%.
oh, I'm not real? Oh, did you say I'm not real?
Watch this,
Okay.
motherfucker.
Yes. Yeah, I got something for you.
Yeah, literally.
That was the best surprise. Oh, thank you. I love it.
I've been holding that one in for days.
You have. And it must have been hard too, because you've been short on the phone. Like, okay, let me say blah, 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 blah. Okay, I gotta go. Bye.
Yeah.
It must have been
No,
bubbling
it's
out of
been
you.
I can't explain to you how many times I almost let it slip. And I so much so I almost called Oops and was like, "Okay, I just gotta get this out." But I wasn't risking it. I wasn't risking it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I didn't even wanna risk telling you that I had something exciting because I just knew you'd know. So I just didn't.
Yeah. That was good planning. Good job.
Uh, well, I also watched the documentary. It was the Sallie House Gateway to the Paranormal. They had a lot going on in that as well. They had a man named
What
have you
show is
seen it?
that? No, I'm asking.
It's a documentary.
Oh, okay. And do we know these people who are doing the documentary? Are they famous or?
Not that
Okay.
I am aware of. I
Okay.
think, like I don't know if I would consider them famous, but they weren't, like, amateurs from what
Okay.
they described.
Right. Okay.
Robbie Thomas was the psychic medium that was on there. Michael
Robbie.
Esposito was the EVP specialist. They had a woman named Heidi Harmon who was a psychic slash Reiki master. She believes that Dr. Finney's still in the home. Robbie, who was the medium, described Finney as cold and conniving, unwelcoming. The neighbor at the time that the documentary was shot, um, she lived at 510 North 2nd. That is Kate Peltzer. She came on the documentary. She said that her son would wake up every night and complain about monsters.
Mm.
She went over one night when she was invited by investigators and they went down to the basement. They would turn the lights off and a brick would be thrown.
What? A
Yeah,
brick?
a brick.
Oh, okay.
And apparently this was repeated several times. She was grabbed from behind when she was looking through one of the windows at one point. Um, Robbie does his psychic impression on the house when he first walks through, and Michael is doing the EVP recordings as this is going on. They talk about that main bedroom small closet. He says he sees a young girl that's kneeling sobbing. Supposedly she was put there. He got this impression of like a get in and shut up kind of vibe. The basement, he felt like someone was pulling on his pinky finger. He got the names Anna and Emily. They caught voices on the EVP. One of them was he's the devil. Another one was he's in power. They also got the Pickmans on for this. They kind of went over things that I already mentioned, but they also talked about seeing this shadow figure get up out of a chair and walk across the room. This was the other time that Tony was thrown across the room as Deborah was, I think she was smudging, and he was thrown so hard that he flew out of his boots.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, and he was struggling to get up because something was holding him down. Les Smith is the owner that I've talked about so far on here. He was actually a former police officer. I really enjoyed his story. I thought it was really kind of
Oh,
fun.
good.
So he had come by. He came by. He went by the house just to check on it one afternoon. I think he had some people coming in the next day. So he said out loud that he was skeptical. And he said, Sally, if you don't want these people coming in here, you got to let me know somehow. Call me, let the phone ring twice, and do it twice so I know it's you.
Very
And he,
clever.
yes, and he left his phone number. The next day, the people who are coming are almost there, and he goes to meet them. And as he's leaving, the phone rings twice. He picks it up, nobody's there, puts back down. He goes to leave the house again, and it rings twice again. And he picks it up, and this time there's static on the other end.
Hmm.
So I just thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
They talk about the sightings crew and being scratched multiple times in the documentary. Um, they added a video. They added a video that was caught by Michael Esposito, and the Pickmans are sitting there. There's another woman in there. I don't remember who exactly she was, but she mentions bringing a priest in to bless the house. And she says, "We need a definitive answer." And after she says that, Tony is either pushed or jumped, I couldn't tell which, backwards, and he starts grabbing his abdomen. They lift his shirt up and they see that the hair on his stomach was actually singed.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mentioned this because in the background you hear the woman, she goes, "Does that mean yes or no?" And I had to stop the documentary at that point because I was like, I need you to be honest with me right now. Is that really like, I think somebody says they're like, I think that's a clear no. I'm like,
That's hilarious.
does that mean yes or no? Really? You gotta question that. Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know. Your honey's belly is smoking, so
Yeah,
yeah.
literally.
Wow.
Now, the last kind of show that I want to talk about on here about the Sallie House is the show Sightings. In the show Sightings, remember this is at the time that they lived there, so they actually were a little afraid of how their story would be taken.
That's
So they
fair.
wanted to remain anonymous. They blurred their faces, redacted names, but you could see and hear that Tony kept getting scratched in real time. Now, they brought in this other psychic. His name was Peter James. He came in cold, so he was given no information. He immediately sensed or saw the face of a little girl in the window when he was initially walking in. He saw a little girl standing at the top of the stairs and called her Sallie. Again, he had no
No.
previous
Yeah.
information.
Wow.
Um, yes. So after Tony is scratched, because Tony's scratched multiple times throughout the filming of Sightings in their home, you can see that there's like the letters M and C
Oh.
in his back. Yeah. And you hear Peter say, "There's nothing to be afraid of. You're in control."
Who's he saying that to? Is he saying it to the ghost or is he saying it to the guy?
He was saying it to Tony.
Okay. It didn't really seem
Yeah.
like it, but
The
all
one
right.
who keeps getting scratched. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt though, because he did come in cold, but it was really funny that he got scratched and he's like, "There's nothing to be afraid of."
Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you don't live here. You don't know.
Yeah, right? So he picks up on a woman telling him there was something with her lungs, breathing, and something with her food. He also felt that there was someone medical who lived in the home. He visited a graveyard. Apparently he like kind of felt drawn to this graveyard. He had a vision of a little girl that died of pneumonia and a doctor that couldn't save her. A voice called him toward a grave, and he ended up in front of a marker that was quoted to be so old and weather-worn. And Peter said, "Here lies Sallie." This is plot 1, 4th row west, and it is a woman by the name of Sallie Isabel Hall. What I found obituary-wise, was that she was born in July of 1871, died February 23rd, 1905. Mrs. Sallie Hall died at 821 North 1st Street on the 23rd of last month of a complication of diseases. Burial at Oak Hill. Sallie I. Hall, colored, wife of Will Hall, who works at the Walters Brickyard, died this morning, and the funeral will occur Sunday at 2 p.m. from the 6th Street Baptist Church. Mrs. Hall was only 34 years of age, but had given birth to 14 children within the
Lord.
past 16 years.
Saint
All,
Sally.
yeah,
Wow.
all had died at birth, but
What?
3 girls and a boy who survived their mother. The oldest is 16, the youngest is 2. A baby was born a week ago. Think of the suffering, think of the tragedy crowded into one brief life. Every year, there has been a birth and a death at the house, and this year there have been 4 deaths. An uncle at Christmas, a sister of Will Hall a few weeks ago, the baby a week ago, and now the mother. The family lives in the alley east of 2nd Street and adjoining Mound.
Yeah. I was going to ask if that was their neighbor over the fence in the backyard.
So I didn't pull it up on a map, but I mean, it's in the alley east of 2nd Street, 508 North 2nd Street. I don't know. Now, if you want to visit the Sallie House, they do day tours. Their day tour reservations are $20 for 1 hour self-guided tour. Signs are located in the home for some haunted history, but they only include basic information. The house is noted to be very ordinary and modest, but for overnight stays, you're looking at about $125 a person with a 2-person stay minimum, and that is from 3 p.m. to 9 a.m. The price increases to $150 during the haunted season, so September to October. The maximum number of people is 10. Guests must bring their own sleeping bags and pillows. There is a list of no-nos for overnight guests. Um, it includes, but is not limited to, and I did not include all of them, but sleeping on the beds, attempting to cleanse the house, using a Ouija board or any seances, and no flames or candles. As far as the house rules, this is copied right off their website. Attendees must be 18 years of age or older. For individuals under 18, a parent or guardian must be present, and a signed consent waiver from a parent or guardian is required. Appropriate footwear is required. Any person found inebriated that may pose a risk or danger to themselves or others will be asked to leave. Due to safety concerns, the basement is currently inaccessible. Overnight tours are by reservation only and are restricted to no more than 10 people. Guests will need to bring their own sleeping bags, blankets, and pillows for sleeping. The house has a restroom, water, and electricity. Photographs, video, and audio recordings are encouraged. However, we would appreciate if you would share anything you may capture on film.
That's fair.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, comments, concerns? Because that was a lot.
It was a ton. You were very thorough. I am really excited to visit. I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, $125 is not bad.
Right.
That is not bad.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm 100% down.
It was good. Good job, sis. Yeah. You did a very good job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Plus she pulled one over on me. When does that ever happen?
I can do it if I really want to.
I see. I
Ugh,
see
I'm
now.
a professional.
Well, if any of you have ever been to the Sallie House or
Yeah.
have any pictures from the Sallie House or
Literally anything.
a
Stories,
story,
opinions.
yeah, we would love that.
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah, please share.
Our email is thechamberofshadows@gmail.com. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at the Chamber of Shadows. And before we close out, I do need to repeat thank you again to Astonishing Legends for that amazing EVP that they caught. I mean, that was just amazing. Um, that is file 10. That was courtesy of Astonishing Legends Productions from their in-depth series on the Sallie House. And again, make sure you look for Astonishing Legends wherever you get your podcasts. The book that I was mentioning earlier that was written by Deborah Pickman is called The Sallie House, A True Haunting. It was published by Llewellyn. I believe that's how they pronounce their name. I will make sure that I add the link to the book from their website in the information for this episode, along with some other things as well. So make sure you take a peek at that.
Yeah.
And with that,
Yeah.
and Haunted Road.
Oh,
I
we
l-
definitely can't forget about them. Yeah.
that's my girl.
Clearly.
Obviously. Well, with that, good night, adios, au revoir, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all. See you next week.
Bye.